Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. So you're either here because you're my friends or my family and I told you that you had to, or hopefully it's because you want to know more about the concept of nutrition as medicine. Hi there, I'm Pam Sano, founder of Fit at 55, and I started on this health and wellness journey well after I turned 50. This workshop is going to be a monthly series for now, hopefully more often as we go. And in these workshops, we're going to get into all things nutrition. So I'm not a doctor, so don't worry, I'm not going to get super sciencey with you. But before we get into today's topic, which is why your diet isn't working and the FoodRx fixes that can change that, I want to explain how and why I started pursuing this concept. So about 18 months ago, and by the way, I'm still learning because there is an awful lot to learn about nutrition, and especially as the concept of nutrition as medicine. But anyway, the reason I got so interested in this is because a very close person to me, my soulmate actually, was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2024. And in all of the preceding doctor visits, her GP, her oncologist, her neurologist, we saw a nutritionist, cardiologist, you get the picture. None of those doctors ever once asked her about her diet, her nutrition, what she ate, how much she ate, when she ate it. You get the picture. And I was really, really shocked by this. And I was pretty frustrated too, if I'm being honest. I think as a society, we have become so dependent on traditional Western medicine that sometimes we forget, or maybe a lot of us just don't know, that many of our conditions, our medical conditions, our diseases, many of them can be avoided or managed or even reversed in a lot of cases simply by eating the right foods. Now, before you say, oh my God, she's one of those, let me just say again, I am not a doctor, but there are many, many doctors out there who will tell you the same thing. For example, Dr. William Lee, Dr. Michael Greger, Dr. Joel Furman, all of whom have done extensive research on this, have written some excellent books, which I highly recommend that you read. And I will link those in the comments below this video. I think I know how to do that. But anyway, I'll link those below, and also I'll link their websites. So I'll link the books and their websites in the comments below so you can check those out. So also let me say too, before we get started, of course there is a time and place for traditional Western medicine. I am not saying that you should go and collect all of your prescription meds and go flush them down the toilet. Not at all what I'm saying. What I am saying is that with the right eating plan, with the right combinations of nutrients, you might very well be able to manage your condition, whatever it is, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, whatever. And then under the direction of your physician, of course, wean yourself off of them. And in the meantime, again, with the right combination of nutrients, you can really enhance the efficacy of those prescription meds while you're still on them. I mean, because really, who wants to take a handful of pills every day or multiple times a day? So by making some really pretty simple, easy to implement changes, you can take control of your health. Research shows that we can manage and even reverse many medical conditions and diseases simply by eating the right foods. So that's how FoodRx was born. Now, a little bit about me. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version because I really do want to just, jump into the meat of this content. So, about me. I have struggled with my weight pretty much all of my adult life. I've always been from a few pounds heavy to almost obese, and I had always, going to my doctor's appointments every year. All of my labs carbs and all of my blood pressure, my cholesterol, always had been within normal ranges. So I was healthy. I tried this trendy diet after that trendy diet. I cut out fats, or didn't cut them out. Went on a low-fat diet, went on a low-carb diet, did the Atkins, where I was doing strictly, protein and no carbs. And, they would work for a little while. I would lose a little weight, but eventually I would gain it back, and then some, which I know a lot of us struggle with. So finally, I went for my annual physical in 2018, and all of my yo-yo dieting and, yo-yo weight finally caught up with me. So my cholesterol was high, my blood pressure was high for the first time in my life. And I don't know, something just kind of clicked. And I said, okay, that's it. So that year, I lost 40 pounds. I thought I cracked the code. The scale was moving in the right direction. My jeans were fitting, and I looked good. So victory, right? Except my sodium intake was sky high. I'm not even going to tell you what I was eating because it's embarrassing. My protein intake was too low. My carbs were out of balance. And I was pretty underhydrated most of the time. So pretty much everything was out of balance. I was thinner, yes, but I still wasn't healthy, because health is not simply the absence of disease. Real health is your body's ability to repair, defend, regulate, and adapt. And your body it's a powerhouse. It is doing all of those things constantly, simultaneously, every minute of every day. There are many ways your body does this, and they're all heavily influenced by what you eat. Your body needs nutritional balance in order to operate optimally. So we'll get into the different systems of your body and how nutrition can affect them in more detail in future sessions, because it's way too much to unpack in one session. So, anywho, it's taken me a long journey. It's taken a long time for me to figure out that food isn't just calories to count. It's not just counting calories. It's not something that can either make you fat or thin. It's information. Food is information that we're feeding our bodies, and that information can be good, can be bad, and when we reach a certain age, that information matters more than ever. So today, in the pilot session of the FoodRx workshop series, we're going to talk about why your eating habits might not be working for you, and I'm going to give you 5 FoodRx fixes that might be able to improve things for you. Okay, let's get into it. The first hidden mistake, what I call blood sugar roulette. After menopause, our estrogen levels decline, and that change can affect how sensitive your body is to insulin. In other words, your body doesn't process carbs the same way it used to. Sorry, it's just the way it is. So if your breakfast is mostly carbs, like you grab a piece of toast on the way out, or you like cereal, maybe a muffin, even a smoothie loaded with fruit, but no protein, your blood sugar can rise quickly, and your body releases insulin then to bring that sugar level down. But sometimes it overshoots, which is what leads to that crash that you sometimes experience. So that crash can feel like mid-morning fog. I mean, who hasn't been sitting at their desk at 10 o'clock in the morning fighting off, trying not to nod off? It can be afternoon fatigue. It can be irritability. And most of all, it can be a sudden craving for more sugar or more caffeine. And then we get into this cycle where we assume that tired feeling, that fatigue is just simply part of aging, and that we just have to accept it. But often it's glucose instability, not your age. So a typical pattern might look like this. In the morning, you're in a hurry, so you grab some toast and some coffee. You get quick energy from it, that's great. But by mid or late morning, you're feeling a crash coming on. So what do? You go grab a second coffee. And what does that do? That kind of, I don't know about you, but that tends to make me a little shaky. So I start to crave food, sugar, usually. So in the afternoon, you maybe grab a a sugary snack for that quick jolt of energy again. And by evening, you're exhausted from the up and down of that energy spike and energy crash all day. So, what do we do about that? Every meal should include some protein, some fiber, and some healthy fat. The reason for that is this combination helps to slow your digestion, which of course makes you feel fuller for longer, helps stabilize your blood sugar so that your energy stays more steady instead of that spike crash. So here's some really good examples of what I mean by protein, fiber, healthy fats. Let's say for breakfast in the morning, you're gonna take some Greek yogurt, add some blueberries, some chia seeds, and then top it off with either some chopped walnuts or some flaxseed. You'll get some protein from the Greek yogurt. You'll get fiber from the blueberries and the chia seeds. And you'll get some healthy fats from the walnuts or the flaxseed. Why this works: protein supports muscle maintenance and repair. Fiber slows your digestion, as I mentioned, and helps stabilize the blood sugar. And healthy fats, along with the fiber, help to improve satiety, which satiety is just a fancy way of saying how full you are and how full you stay. The best part of this particular meal is that you can prep it ahead of time. You can prep, your whole week's worth if you don't mind eating the same thing every day. Prep it a whole week's worth and just, section it off as you go, and you've got breakfast for your whole week. For lunch, try some salmon, or if you don't like salmon, try some tuna with some quinoa. Make it a salad. Put some cucumbers, some cherry tomatoes, avocado, olive oil dressing on top. Protein from the salmon or the tuna, your fiber from the quinoa, the greens, and the vegetables, and you'll get the healthy fats from avocado or olive oil. Why this combination works is the omega-3 fats from the salmon and the quinoa. Those both support heart and brain health, and then the fiber in the vegetables help to improve your digestion and blood sugar control. At dinner time, try some grilled chicken with broccoli and carrots over quinoa or brown rice, and drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. The protein obviously comes from the chicken. The fiber will come from the broccoli and the quinoa, and you'll get some good healthy fat from the olive oil. This particular combination works well because it's going to provide you with sustained energy so that at 9 o'clock you're not saying, "Where's my ice cream sandwich?" It also helps support muscle repair, and it will help reduce unwanted inflammation. Moving on, the second hidden mistake, and this is a big one. I think we're all guilty of this one: under-eating protein. If there's one nutritional shift that most of us need to make, it's this one. We're just not eating enough protein, especially at breakfast. So this is going to be a few minutes, so go grab a water or a coffee if you need to, because we'll be talking about this for a few minutes. Many typical breakfasts, like toast, cereal, oatmeal, fruit smoothie, as I mentioned, those all provide about 5 to 10 grams of protein. And that's just not enough to support your body's needs at this stage of life. Because after menopause, our bodies go through several changes that make protein even more important. We should be getting 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. And instead, a lot of us are probably getting that in an entire day. One of the changes that our bodies go through after menopause is anabolic resistance. And what that is, that's just scientist jargon for the body becoming less efficient at using protein in order to maintain your muscle. At the same time, our estrogen levels are declining and our muscle mass naturally begins to decrease. That process is called sarcopenia. Starting around age 40, we start to lose about 3 to all the way up to 8% of our muscle mass per decade. That rate increases again after 50 and increases even more after 60. Fun, right? So I'm not going to get into exercise in this workshop because this is FoodRx and not MoveRx, but I feel like this is a good time to tell you that both on my website fitat55.com and also on my YouTube channel, you'll find about 60 or so exercise videos that you can watch and work out along with. And the reason this is so important, and again, I'm not going to get into it here, but the more it's basically use it or lose it. We've got to do some sort of strength training every day or every other day. And I'm not talking about going to the gym and lifting weights for 30 minutes. I'm just talking about some sort of movement to keep our muscles active and engaged, or we will lose that muscle mass. And it's really hard, especially at our age, it's really hard to get that back once you've lost it. So, and remember, just, working out and having muscle is obviously, it means something different now than maybe when you were 20. But when we were 20, muscle might have been more about physique and appearance, and now it really is more about longevity and independence. And that's because muscle tissue plays a major role in maintaining our metabolism, our blood sugar balance, our balance and mobility, our bone health, and even our inflammation levels. All of the above will impact how long you can stay mobile and independent. When we start to lose muscle, several other super fun things tend to also happen, and usually about at the same time. And those are, your energy starts to drop, your blood sugar becomes harder to regulate, our fat storage increases, again, super fun, especially around the abdomen. If you're wondering why, by the way, that happens, why you start to gain weight around your abdomen, is because as your estrogen declines, your body automatically starts to shift fat storage away from the hips and thighs and to the abdomen. I know it seems like a super rude design flaw by Mother Nature, but there it is. Muscle loss can also lead to balance issues and make us less stable. And when we're not stable, when we don't have balance, we can fall. And when we fall, we can get hurt. So movement, which we're not going to get into here, and protein. Protein, think about protein as the raw material that keeps the whole system running. So why does protein help support so many systems? Protein supports so many systems in our bodies simultaneously, which is why, again, it plays such a major role in my FoodRx approach. Adequate protein intake helps to support muscle preservation, blood sugar stability, because your protein will help slow those glucose spikes. It enhances brain health. The amino acids in the protein create what they call those feel-good drugs like dopamine and serotonin. Helps with immune resilience. Immune cells and antibodies require protein to thrive and to grow and to regenerate. Helps with hormone balance. I mean, who among us has not experienced a hormone imbalance at some point during menopause? Many hormones are built from amino acids that we get from protein. And bone health, protein works alongside calcium and minerals to support bone density. So that's why in FoodRx we're going to be talking about, we don't talk about just the nutrients, just the calories in the food that we eat. We think about overall systems. So let's talk about the FoodRx fix to the protein issue. Most women over 50 benefit the most from about 25 to 30, really 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal, depending, of course, your activity level, your metabolism. But instead of thinking about how much protein per day that you need, it might be more helpful to think about how much protein per meal, just in terms of tracking it, keeping track and making sure that you're getting enough on a daily basis. So a simple FoodRx meal structure might look like this. We mentioned with the breakfast getting a protein, a fiber, and a healthy fat. So when I mentioned breakfast earlier, I talked about Greek yogurt with blueberries and chia seeds. Another balanced FoodRx meal might be eggs with spinach and cottage cheese, a salmon salad with olive oil, chicken with quinoa or brown rice and roasted vegetables, lentils with leafy greens and avocado. All these combinations will help to stabilize your blood sugar. They'll help to improve nutrient absorption, and we're going to get into that in a subsequent workshop, because the way you pair up your foods, your nutrients, can enhance your body's ability to absorb those nutrients. Otherwise, it's sort of like if you're not conscious of nutrient absorption, it could be sort of like just putting all those nutrients in a treasure chest and just burying them at the bottom of the ocean. They'll never get absorbed. I know it's a terrible analogy. I don't know how I came up with that. But it's just locking them away in a treasure chest and never having the advantage of using them. When protein is combined with fiber-rich foods and healthy fats, the body will absorb the nutrients more effectively, and your energy stays more stable, and your satiety level is more stable as well. So, to summarize the protein issue, protein is not about simply building muscles. For us ladies of a certain age, protein helps support our metabolism, our energy, mobility, brain and heart function, immune resilience, and overall healthy aging. So, I want you to think when you're considering what foods to eat, I want you to start thinking this way. What system is this meal supporting? Protein is one of the most powerful tools we have to support those systems. So start thinking of your protein, if you're not already, start thinking of protein as the anchor of your meal and not as a side dish. Pick your protein and then plan your meal around it, whatever that protein is. If you do eat animal protein like chicken, fish, beef, what have you, pork, then pick a lean one like chicken or fish. If you're vegan, pick a plant-based option like maybe tofu, lentils, or chickpeas, and then build your meal around those. Okay, moving on from protein. Number 3 biggest hidden problem is fiber deficiency. Fiber is one of the most overlooked nutrients in modern diets, and it impacts far more than simply digestion. Fiber helps us regulate our gut health and keep a healthy microbiome. Balanced microbiome helps with our cholesterol levels. It helps with blood sugar control, inflammation, and satiety, and then as a result, then weight management. Most women consume about 10 to 15 grams of fiber per day. The recommended target is about 25 to 35 grams daily. So if you think about it, most of us are taking in about half of the amount of fiber that we should be. When fiber intake is low, several things tend to happen. Blood sugar rises more quickly after meals. Our cholesterol can increase. Our gut bacteria becomes less diverse, and you get hungry faster. And nobody wants that. Fiber acts like a metabolic stabilizer. It slows your digestion, as we mentioned. It helps to feed beneficial gut bacteria, and it helps the body manage glucose more effectively. So start thinking, instead of counting calories, ask yourself, where's the fiber in this meal? Am I getting enough fiber? Whole foods like vegetables, beans, lentils, berries, seeds, and whole grains are some of the most powerful tools in your FoodRx toolkit for fiber. The 4th hidden mistake is sodium without a strategy. Sodium itself is not the bad guy. It's not the villain it's often made out to be. In fact, sodium plays an important role in our fluid balance, in our nerve signaling, and our muscle function. The problem isn't the sodium alone, it's where it's coming from and how much. A lot of our sodium can come from packaged and processed foods if we're not aware of it, if we're not being careful and reading labels. And that can easily push your daily intake of sodium well beyond the 2,300 milligram upper limit that is recommended by the National Institute of Health. So we can get up to 2,300 milligrams before we even touch that salt shaker. We can get sodium in prepackaged soups, frozen meals, frozen dinners. Deli meats are a huge source of hidden sodium. Sauces and dressing, packaged snack foods. And then at the same time, while we're ingesting all that extra sodium, a lot of us don't drink nearly enough water. So you're creating an imbalance of sodium and hydration in your body. After menopause, the body becomes even more sensitive to this imbalance, and that can contribute to bloating, fatigue, and swings in your blood pressure. So start thinking of sodium as something to manage and not to eliminate. Now, obviously, the range of sodium is, I believe, 1,600 to 2,300 milligrams per day. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that that's the recommended range from the NIH. We don't want to eliminate it. That's not what we're talking about. And again, what I was starting to say is obviously you want to be on the lower end of that range if you're, under the care of a physician for, let's say, high blood pressure. So definitely listen to what your doctor is telling you there. Not trying to cut out all sodium. We're just trying to manage. And 2,300 milligrams is like a teaspoon of salt. And think about how much a lot of us tend to salt our food, sometimes before we even taste it. So just saying, just be aware of it, be cognizant, and make sure you're not. Make sure you know where your sodium is coming from. Whole foods naturally balance sodium with potassium and other minerals, and that balance helps to regulate fluid balance in your body. The fifth hidden mistake is eating for your weight and not for your systems. And this is a big one, and this is where I really tend to get kind of on my soapbox. I am not here to tell you that you should lose weight. I'm not here to tell you that if you do lose weight, you're going to be healthier. That may be true. I wouldn't know without knowing your history, what your diet is, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is, for most of our lives, us women, we've been taught to eat for one outcome: the number on the scale and the size of your jeans, right? Low calories, low fat, low carbs, keto, fasting, whatever diet was trending at the time, we've probably all tried one or more. But as I mentioned at the beginning, true health is not simply the absence of disease. It's not determined by the scale. Your body operates through many multiple interconnected systems. Your brain function, your cardiovascular health, your blood sugar regulation, inflammation control, your gut health, muscle preservation. So when we're eating only for weight loss, we often overlook the foods that help to nourish all those systems. And by the way, in subsequent workshops, we're going to be looking at each one of these systems in detail, and we're going to discuss how nutrition can help benefit each of those systems. So the FoodRx philosophy flips that question of how to choose our foods. Instead of asking, is this going to help me lose weight? We're going to ask, which system in my body does this food help support? And once that shift becomes automatic, and it will, the longer you practice it, that shift will change everything, because then your food becomes fuel. It helps to repair, it helps to protect. It's no longer just calories. It's information for your body. So eat to support your systems, and a healthy weight will then most often follow naturally. Okay, so this is the second part now of this workshop. I want to talk about, I said that I was going to talk about some fixes that might help you change some of your battles with your eating plan. Fix number one, which we briefly mentioned in the protein section: make sure you're anchoring protein at every meal. Every meal, breakfast included, especially breakfast. Aim for 25 to 35 grams per day. Build your plate around that protein, and then add vegetables, smart carbs, and your healthy fats. So fish, salmon especially, is an excellent choice because it's lean. It has a high protein, low calorie, and low sodium content. But I know eating it for lunch might not be socially convenient. Might make you lose some friendships. I know salmon in a microwave is, not popular. So if you can't do salmon at lunch, try another lean protein, chicken maybe, or lentils, tofu, chicken, turkey, or even tempeh. So here's some examples. About 2 eggs and some Greek yogurt, 4 ounces of salmon or another lean protein with some vegetables. By the way, 4 ounces of salmon, 3 or 4 ounces of salmon has around just under 20 grams of protein just on its own. A cup of lentils paired with quinoa, 4-ounce chicken breast with some brown rice and vegetables. Those are all really good choices for meals, especially a lunch. Fix number 2, fiber first rule. Fiber is, as I mentioned, one of the most underrated nutrients, especially when we hit 50. We really need about 25 to 35 grams daily. So now we all know what one thing fiber does for us, right? But fiber is also critical in helping to regulate blood sugar, improving and maintaining our gut health, helping to keep our cholesterol at a healthy level, and helping to reduce unwanted inflammation. So when our meals lack fiber, carbs digest more quickly, and that can lead to sharper blood sugar spikes and then that energy crash later in the day. So fiber will help kind of prolong that process, which keeps us feeling fuller for longer. Fiber also acts as fuel for that good bacteria in our gut. Our guts contain trillions of bacteria, and fiber is the primary fuel that helps keep the beneficial ones alive. So those beneficial microbes help regulate digestion, immune function, hormone balance, and even some aspects of brain health. So when our fiber intake is too low, the diversity of gut bacteria tends to decline. That can affect everything from metabolism to our inflammation levels. In other words, fiber doesn't just help digestion, it helps to support multiple systems throughout the body. And remember, all those systems are interconnected. So when one is not functioning properly, it can lead to sort of a domino effect. So think of it this way. Protein might build the house, but fiber pays the utilities. Another major benefit of fiber is that it helps keep you feeling more satisfied, and it can last, help you stay satisfied for a lot longer than if you eat lower amounts of fiber. It also, for that reason, can help us not overeat quite as much. It'll stabilize your energy levels, so your energy is at a more even keel. It's not, spiking and crashing. So some good sources of fiber: vegetables, legumes, berries, whole grains, nuts, seeds, all those provide really good sources of fiber, along with other important vitamins and minerals. From a FoodRx perspective, fiber works alongside protein and healthy fats to create meals that will help support your blood sugar stability, your gut health, and overall metabolic balance. So just to give you an example of where to get fiber and how much, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds will give you about 5 grams of fiber. A half a cup of raspberries will give you about 4 grams. Half a cup of black beans will give you 7 to 8 grams. 1 cup of broccoli, around 5 grams, and a tablespoon of ground flax, about 3 grams. Okay, fix number 3, sodium awareness and hydration match. So the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, guidelines suggest around 1,500 to 2,300 maximum milligrams of sodium per day. So I said earlier, I think it was 1,600. It's around 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams per day for women over the age of 19. So after 19, your needs really don't change a whole lot. Depending, of course, on your health status, your activity level, and your blood pressure considerations. So obviously, again, if your blood pressure is high, you'll want to target maybe closer to that minimum level of sodium. The challenge is that, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of us are reaching that 2300 and above before we even reach for the salt shaker. So that's sodium. At the same time, proper hydration helps your body maintain the right electrolyte balance. A simple baseline that many experts recommend, and you've probably heard this, is to target half of your body weight in ounces of water. So in other words, if you weigh 160 pounds, you should be drinking around 80 ounces of water per day. Again, adjusting, of course, for your activity level, where you live, your exercise. So the goal here isn't perfection or getting exactly to 80 and then stopping. If you're thirsty, you're going to drink more water. But just consistency, and you don't have to obsessively track every single ounce of water that you drink, or every single gram of sodium. It's just really good to have a general idea and to maintain that proper balance. So the goal here is awareness, just understanding how sodium and hydration can work together so that you can make small adjustments to help your body maintain that proper fluid balance. Okay, fix number 4. Eat in color. And no, I do not mean Cheetos. I mean phytonutrients, which is a fancy term for simply what gives plants their color. And those phytonutrients do a lot more than just make your plate look pretty with different colors. They help reduce oxidative stress, which is, Reader's Digest version, is just the damage that harmful molecules can do to your body if they're not reined in. They're also called free radicals. Maybe you've heard that term. But oxidative stress is the damage that those free radicals can do to your cells if there aren't enough protective nutrients to kind of rein them in, keep them in check, and stop them from causing chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation, in case you're not familiar with that term, is simply your body's alarm system. And when that alarm system gets turned on and stays on for too long, it can start to irritate and damage healthy parts of your body instead of helping them. So chronic inflammation and oxidative stress can lead to 2 of the major drivers of rapid aging, of metabolic disease, and of cellular damage. So we really want to get a hold of this and keep it in check. A really easy way to consistently get a wide range of these protective nutrients is just to follow a simple 3-color minimum rule. And I know that sounds silly, but aim to include leafy greens like spinach, kale, arugula, red or orange vegetables like bell peppers, tomatoes, cabbage, sweet potatoes, and purple or blue foods like blueberries, purple cabbage, eggplant, blackberries. Each color represents a different group of phytochemicals that will help support immune function, vascular health, brain protection, and inflammation control. So, in other words, the more naturally colorful your plate is, the more layers of nutritional defense you're giving your body. And fix number 5. Eat for systems, not for the scale. So stop eating for the scale, my friends. It is not the healthy way to go. Start eating for your body's systems. Some foods protect your brain, some foods stabilize your blood sugar, some preserve your muscle. When you rotate your foods intentionally, you'll start building protection across your whole body. So I'm not going to go into this a whole lot today because, again, way too much to unpack. But these are all going to be topics of future workshops anyway, so we'll get into those in later dates. And we're about out of time. In fact, we're a little over time. So just for a quick preview, brain support. Your brain is highly, highly sensitive to oxidative stress and inflammation, and that's what can help cause cognitive decline over time. Foods that are rich in antioxidants and healthy fats will help to protect your brain cells, and they'll help to support memory and focus. And I don't know about you, but I don't know too many ladies of a certain age who complain about, having too much brain function. So blueberries, walnuts, leafy greens, like spinach, kale, salmon, sardines, they're all good for brain support. And again, we're going to get into that next time. Blood sugar support. Stable blood sugar is one of the most important drivers of long-term metabolic health. Beans, lentils, cinnamon, vinegar, like in your salad dressing, can help blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes. Heart health. Our heart health is strongly influenced by diet. Oats, flax seeds, olive oil, lentils, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, those are all excellent food sources for heart health. So when we start to kind of rotate our attention across all these systems, our brain, our heart, blood sugar, muscle, we're no longer just eating healthy. Now we're strategically feeding the systems that are going to help keep us strong, energetic, and as resilient as possible as we age. So, in closing, I just want to say your body is an amazing, amazing, powerful being that is constantly repairing, regenerating, and protecting you. Your metabolism has not broken down. It's not gone away. Your body has not given up on you. It's just simply asking for different information now. Our bodies are way smarter than we are, so make sure you're listening to yours. Food is one of the most powerful tools that we have after 50. When we use it strategically and we use it as medicine, everything changes. I hope you've enjoyed this workshop. I hope you've learned something from it. The next one will be on April 16th, same time, same place. And by the way, I did have to pre-record this one. Normally it will be live. Had to pre-record this one because I'm traveling today. I was supposed to be home today and do the live workshop tomorrow morning, but I don't know when I'm going to be home. So I did record this one. It's going to be up on my YouTube channel for you to go back and revisit if you'd like. Again, I'll put some of those resources in the comments below. Please, please, please check those out. They're just packed full of great information. They do get a little technical sometimes, but for the most part, they're pretty easy reads, and I guarantee you will get a lot out of them. So if you haven't already signed up, you can do so and then get notified of future workshops and get the link to those workshops. So I'll put the link to sign up in the comments below. That'll also get you signed up for my weekly newsletter, which I know you don't want to miss out on. Also chock full of great information. So thanks again so much, guys, for joining me today. It has been truly a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. All right, bye for now.